Hey, folks, welcome to Monday Afternoon Live. You see some of the usual crew here, myself, Mr. Stanley Orchard over there, Steve down here with Haulin Ash, and then down over there is Grant McIntosh, and special guest on the very end over there, we got Floyd Miller, who's out of Stuart, Florida, and he is the captain of Reel Anarchy fishing team. And, excuse me, he's decided to join us today and put up with us and maybe share some information with us all. All right, guys, how y'all doing?
Going well.
Doing real well.
A great day myself. I'm super excited about this one.
Mm-hmm. Now, how did we happen upon Floyd Miller and Reel Anarchy? Steve?
Talking to me?
Well, you're Steve, yes, sir.
Well, Floyd Miller and I go way back to 1974. We showed cattle together. I don't know if we really call it competed against each other. We might have been in a different class. But that's how I met Floyd. Was we showed cattle at the State Fair in Michigan. And Floyd was a classmate of my wife, Judy, who I didn't know Judy till years later. But that's the connection that Judy and I have with Floyd Miller.
That's very cool. And so you approached him and asked him if he'd like to come on the live stream and just talk about his adventures with his fishing team, right?
Yep. I asked him quite a while ago if he'd be interested in coming on and hanging out with us, and I was so glad that he said sure. So I'm glad you're here, Floyd. Thanks a bunch.
Hey, no problem. I enjoy it, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Grant, what'd you have going on recently since the last live stream? Anything big?
I'm dealing with that senior of mine. We had prom this weekend, and we got signing day Thursday. So,
yes,
Nice.
good deal. Stanley, anything?
We had prom this weekend as well. Rachel was chaperoning, and she signs up for us to chaperone the prom so that she can get me dressed up, and I have to ask her, and I have to actually take her, and she uses it as an excuse to get to go to prom. So we had that going for us this weekend.
Oh, that's good. I'm fighting two battles right now. The bathroom reno, which if you follow me on Facebook, you've seen some of that, and the boat motor. It's going to turn into a freaking trilogy or something. I'm still working on this boat motor. I've got to tear back into it. I've found some issues beyond what I was prepared for. So, woohoo!
That
The motor. Floyd, what have you been up to for our last week or two? Has the weather been nice enough for you to get out and do any fishing out there?
It's in the 90s now, pretty much every day. It's hot. Summer's here.
Wow.
I jumped on board with one of my friends a couple weeks ago. We were fishing the national championship out of Fort Pierce, and we end up with a 43-pounder on the first day, and then second day we couldn't find a fish over 16 pounds. So we were in the hunt for the money on the first day, and then it's fishing. Then you finally get a good fish on, and which probably would be one to place. And our shark population is really large right now, and a lot of times you're just blessed if you're able to get a fish to the boat. And you can catch little 10, 15 pounders all day, and they don't want nothing to do with them. But if that's going to be a daggone money fish, 30, 40, 50 pounds, they just destroy it. It's like they don't want a snack; they want a whole meal.
Kind of like me, I guess.
then back in January, I fished. Have you ever heard of the Jimmy Johnson tournament?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jimmy Johnson's out of Key Largo, and we used my boat. My friends wanted to fish it, but we were able. Contender pitched in and anteed up on all the entrance fees and Calcuttas. And I mean, just that alone was right at 10 grand. Just to enter.
Wow.
So, and yeah, some of these tournaments are high dollar. But we were hanging tough on the first day, and what's so different is like Steve's been here, so he sees the kind of gear I use. And do y'all have to use circle hooks up there by any chance? For anything?
Yeah, we have some
We
regulations.
are required on.
Like
Yeah, for snapper.
Refishing, I guess you're gonna have to have circle hooks.
Yeah.
But the Jimmy Johnson tournament, because mostly it's a sailfish tournament, even the meat fish category, you have to use circle hooks. So trying to tie your rig, and you're only allowed 2 hooks per bait. So you're trying to rig these baits with, instead of using like a J hook and a treble hook, or like on my ribbon fish rigs, which is, I don't know if you know what a ribbon fish is, or silver eels. Usually you have a J hook or a jig head, and then 3 trebles, because they're roughly a couple feet long.
Yeah.
Well, trying to rig them with only 2 circle hooks.
Ouch.
And it took a little ingenuity, but I think I came up with a pretty good plan and it worked. I don't think we lost a single fish on the ribbons, so it worked out definitely. But that same scenario, we had a really nice fish the first day and came down the second day. These were a little bit rougher and we just couldn't find a good fish.
Jerry Toner in the chat is asking why you are required to use circle hooks.
Say again?
Jerry Toner in the chat down here is asking why they require circle hooks, and it's an interesting part of the conversation, which I bring that up.
Because for billfish, as you know, the circle hook usually will get caught right in the corner of the fish's mouth. So instead of the sailfish, because usually it's just going to be catch and release, and it does less damage to the fish. So even though a lot of people will be flying kites, and you never know what's going to hit, it could be a sailfish on there. So if you're fishing like meat fish category, like what we tend to do, if he swallows, bait with 2 or 3 treble hooks, he probably ain't going to make it.
Yeah.
So that's why they want you to use the circle hooks.
Yeah, that's interesting. Recently here in Texas, they went to circle hooks for sharks, but they cannot be offset and they cannot be stainless. So they have to be able to rust out, which all makes sense.
Right.
They have to be offset.
Hook, huh?
You said they have to be offset, or I'm not familiar with that.
They cannot be offset.
No, that's same for us. That's the same for us in the tournament. They cannot be offset. They have to be tournaments and they have to be straight.
But the crazy thing is they say that for shark here. So if I go down the coast and fish and I'm fishing for redfish, I'm throwing out a stainless offset circle hook. I might catch a shark, right? But they don't make that, I'm not in trouble because I'm not fishing for shark.
Right,
so,
yeah.
But it makes more sense just to say, hey, if you're going to fish there, use a circle hook that's not offset, that can rust no matter what you're fishing for. That way, if you do get that shark, you don't risk hurting the shark. So It's just, I guess Texas hasn't gone that far yet. I was there in February in the Keys, and I was fishing with a friend there, and he told me the same thing. It depends on which side, if you're fishing the Gulf side or the Atlantic side, whether he has to use a circle hook or not.
Right. Well, if you're bottom fishing and you're on the reef, either side you're gonna have to use circle hooks. They've changed that now because like the reef fish, like you got the red snapper and the mutton snappers and the groupers. It's same scenario. You don't want them to swallow them J hooks, and if they're undersized, you're gonna have to throw them back, or hopefully they're gonna survive.
Yeah.
So the circle hook just does less damage.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's been my primary hook, I would say, even before I was fishing down at the coast.
Right.
Floyd, would you take and walk us through what you as a captain, what you do to get your boat ready, to get ready for a tournament, everything that's included in your day?
Yeah.
The boat, the bait, everything you got to get ready, the captain's meetings. Just walk us through the whole entire day of a tournament that you typically fish in.
Well, normally we have to pay our entrance fees in advance. And I just do that because I call it fishing on a budget. Usually, you might get your entrance fees for $150 less if you pay early. So we pay it early, which could be a couple months early. And then as far as tournament gets ready, usually tournaments are Saturdays, and I'll start loading the boat on Wednesday. I will put, my kite rods, I'll put my gear, I'll put all my, Steve, I have these rig bags that hold 50 rigs. So I'll have a rig bag for ribbon fish, one for blue runners, one for speedos, one for goggle eyes, and I keep all them right in my leaning post so they're nice and handy. I'll strip off my fluorocarbon every time before a tournament, and I'll put a brand new about 15 yards of fluorocarbon on every rod. And I carry 12 tournament rods, and I'll carry a couple of spinners for each tournament, plus my kite rods. Then I will just get all my gear in there. I'll get my downriggers on. The cooler gets loaded up and with ice. The day of the tournament, I should say the day before, I'll go down and I'll get about 500 pounds of ice to put in the fish box. I'll put in at least 20 ribbon fish, which are the silver eels. I keep them on there. They're like candy for Kingfish. And as far as like price wise goes, the ribbons sell for like $4 a piece. And I'll go through pretty much at least 20 every tournament. And then if I have not had a chance to catch my bait, because to go out and catch goggle eyes, you pretty much have to get up about 3 o'clock in the morning, and you have to be out on the water by about 3:30. And once you find them, they'll bite for roughly about an hour. But you can maybe get 100 baits in an hour. Wow. And then got to drive them back to where my bait pin is so we can keep them in the water. If I don't have enough bait, I have to buy bait. And the bait guys charge you $100 a dozen. And each tournament, I go out to each tournament with roughly anywhere from 5 to 7 dozen baits for each tournament. So you got to have a bait pin. So at the end of the tournament, you can go in and put your bait back in the pin. But a lot of times after getting beat up all day out there, a lot of them, you have a lot that die off. Yeah. So, but we just, and it depends on where you're going, like my boat I have right now, it holds like 315 gallons of fuel. And sometimes we might make a 100-mile run one direction just to fish. So, it's a long day. We start, we're usually in the water by about 4 o'clock in the morning. And sometimes we don't get out of the water till 8, 9 o'clock at night. So when you're getting old like me, the next day takes a lot of recovery time.
I know all about that.
So,
Floyd, Jeff Bottom asked a question. Are you in a marina or on a trailer for your tournaments?
I trailer my boat. I don't, again, you go to the marina, it's a double, if you put your boat at the marina, then you got to load everything in your truck to drive there, and then you got to carry it out. I keep the boat on the trailer here at the house. All I got to do is go from my garage to the boat, and the boat's loaded. Then all I got to do is go to the boat ramp, just dunk it in the water, and I'm ready to go. So for me, it works better that way. Then you don't have to worry about someone stealing your stuff at the marina.
I'm curious. You obviously Kingfish is your bread and butter. Is that it? Or do you specifically Kingfish is your thing, period, or are you also going for billfish?
Oh no, I'm not a big billfish guy because I don't do the money of the tournament because the tournaments are so expensive. Probably the average billfish tournament just to enter is going to be at least $5,000, and that's just the entrance fee before you even do Calcuttas or do anything else. And a lot of these billfish teams, they'll be out there flying 3 kites. They might have a dozen people on their boat. And so if you have 3 kites up, you have a guy helping. Each guy on a kite has one guy helping them. So that takes 6 people right there. And then the other guys will be putting flat lines out, or they're doing whatever else is required. And the billfish tournaments they're definitely for the people that have a little more money, you know. And most of the crews on these billfish teams, they're getting paid. They're getting paid to fish.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're whoever the owner is of the boat usually has a lot of money, and he's paying a whole team to fish.
Wow.
So it's a lot different, you know. And like I said, it's getting more and more expensive. The boats are getting bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, like the boat I'm going to go back to, back in the day, if you had a 28 contender, man, you had a bad boat. Now these guys are fishing 41s, 44s. You know, they're running, you know, 5 engines, you know, 400 mercs. Now they got the 450s, you know, and a lot of guys now they're even taking them and they're getting the mercs are getting them chipped, you know, they're getting them tuned. So I know they can take the 300 merc and tune it. It's putting out 475 horsepower.
Holy.
And it's like, and these guys are running 4 or 5 engines doing that. You know, it's a lot of these guys is all about the race. You know, when they have us lined up out in the ocean, 200 boats deep, and on your mark, get set, go. They like to brag who's got the fastest boat. I mean, these boats now are pushing 100 miles an hour.
God.
I know for what we were doing down here, one of the things that was, I will say, I'm not big on that myself. I don't need quads or quints or 450s or anything like that. It's a little bit much for me. But I'll say that we started off with a single engine. I believe it was like a 150, something like that, little well-cracked center console. And then a couple years ago, my uncle picked up a 34 Freeman, and he's got dual. I'm not sure how big they are, but he's got duals on there. He flies. He just flies.
If
he gets us out to fishing spots.
He's probably got 300
fast.
mercs on it. That's common for that 34 Freeman.
Yeah, and that's probably what it is. The speed, though. I mean, getting out there, we get out to fishing spots that normally would have taken us, you know, we're out there in an hour. Normally would have taken us over 2 hours to get to some of these spots sometimes. You're fresh, you know, when you get out there.
Yeah.
I'd never considered some of those variables, but when we first started doing that, you first off, you're out there so early, so much more early than what we were accustomed to. It was really nice to be able to get, you know, fishing at, I don't know, 7:30 in the morning as opposed to 8:30 or 9. And plus, you're just not as beat up. You know, you're fresh when you're out there. I wasn't ready for that one. You know, I'm used to being a little bit more beat up when I first get out there.
Now the Freeman is an outstanding ride. Actually, my wife would like us to get a Freeman because they have much because it's a dual hull, so they take the waves is so much nicer, you know. And but right now they got like a 3-year wait to have them built.
And I'm glad to go through that one too. He had to go through the wait on his. No, he didn't. This is his first Freeman. He had a Everglades before that. But yeah, he had to wait a couple years to get it built.
Right. Yeah, that's how it is right now. And that's not them. That's for a lot of the different. I don't know if you guys heard about this, like out where we are, but a lot of the boat manufacturers now can't get any resin to build their boats.
Damn.
Every week we have this discussion about something, whether it be remodeling, and none of us can do it because the price is up 900%. Now we can't get boats. Somebody needs to fix something.
Hard to find a boat. Used boat.
Yeah.
It comes from China. And the resin normally was $80 a drum. Now it's $600.
Wow.
Yep.
And Contender's actually offering back people's deposits because there's a good possibility they might not be able to put any boat out from what I heard, like for up to 18 months.
That's just crazy. And,
Yep.
and that's probably part of the reason the used market is so bad. Because
and that's what I'm fixing to be up against right now.
Yeah.
You know, because as soon as a good boat comes available, it's gone.
People paying good money for them. Yep. More than
makes
they
me
were
wish I'd jumped on yours.
Huh?
I was regretting not having been able to, when you were selling your boat, I was, trying to find somebody to go in on that thing with me. I was begging for people, and I wasn't able to find anybody, and now I'm doubly hurting as a result. John, I was trying to convince you. I don't know why you guys didn't humor me on that.
I've already got one boat I'm throwing all my money in. I don't need another one to throw money in.
Well, mine runs.
There you go. Touche.
Hey, Floyd, I want to go back to
Let me get a hold of it.
to a question that actually Stanley asked, and I want to follow up on that. You said Kingfish being your bread and butter, but when you go to these tournaments, there's other categories that you enter into, and tell us all what those are.
Most of these tournaments are what they call KDW. It's Kingfish, Dolphin, Wahoo. But for us, for the divisions that we fish, Kingfish are our points fish. So if you're lucky enough to put a big fish in the boat first thing in the morning, because a lot of these tournaments are just big fish tournaments. They're not an aggregate. So if you can put a nice fish in first thing in the morning, well, heck, you can turn around, run offshore then and try to catch dolphin, or change up your gear and try to go high speed or something, try to catch a wahoo. If you can, but wahoo are hard to catch. They don't. It's not like there's certain times of the month that they bite. It's like 3 days before the full moon and 3 days after the full moon. That's the best days to fish for wahoo. But
So I learned something. Thank you.
yeah. So
Did you say full moon?
out there, you have to be on the water when it's still dark, and you got to start high speeding. If you're going to high speed, you got to start doing that before it's daylight, because they tend to bite right at daylight. And I guess if you're lucky enough, you might pick one up later in the day. But for the most part, if you don't have one first thing in the morning, especially on a tournament day, because if you're putting all your eggs in a basket, you're going to go catch a wahoo. You might go back at the end of the day skunked. It's much better chances of catching a big kingfish first thing in the morning than to catch a wahoo. So if you can catch one and put you in the money, that's what it's all about.
Floyd, you said high speed trolling, and I know the answer to this one, but tell us all what speed you troll at.
Anywhere from about 17 to 20 knots.
That's high speed.
I remember asking Floyd about the first time I went down to fish with him. I said, "Can we go, fish for some reef fish? I'd like to catch yellowtail snapper, grouper, something like that." And he said, "Steve, this is not a bass boat. This thing only trolls at a certain speed." I love that answer. I've never asked him since.
I've got you some good fish since you've been coming down.
Oh, yes,
we're working on that bucket list.
Yes, we have. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you guys? I'm obliged to have to ask this because I'm researching this at the moment. Do you do swordfish?
I do not, and it's like I don't have the gear, and I'm just not willing to put $4,000 for an electric reel to go out there, because you're fishing like 1,500 foot of water, or more, and if you got a hand crank that, and you're talking about, you're talking about like 10 pounds of weight to get down that far. Yeah. I ain't cranking up by hand. But it's just the gear to fish for me is very expensive. Actually, one of my friends down here just a few weeks ago, his son, they were out and they caught one that weighed 768 pounds.
Damn.
It's like a new Florida record.
Wow,
and this is all kids that are like 16, 17 years old.
Wow.
That caught it. I think they fought it for like 5 or 6 hours.
Making memory, that's for sure. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And the nice thing about it is the young man that had the boat, he has a condition like an inoperable. He gets all these brain tumors.
Oh man.
And he will not live past 21 years old, and he's now 17. Ouch. He goes in for he flies. They fly up north up around New Jersey, New York, something like that. almost weekly for his treatments. And so they, he's very blessed that mom and dad, they let him, they're well off. So I think the young man's on the water every day, and they're just letting him live the best life he can live.
Good.
Because he's not gonna, whereas all of us, we look forward to having our kids grow up so we can do stuff as older, but he won't be there. It's very unfortunate.
Yeah.
Floyd, I got to interrupt here quickly. My son, Steve Jr., Aiden, and Ava are all begging me to tell you hi.
Oh, tell him I said hey. Tell him I said hey.
Yeah.
You got to bring them all down.
Yes, sir. That would be a dream. I'd love to.
Do it.
Yep.
Hey, Floyd, I got a question for you. Have you ever considered being a charter captain?
That's crossed my mind for when I get ready to retire. But I don't want to do it where I don't want to go fishing no more. Because to do the charter boats down here, you're up at the crack of dawn. You're pulling your boat to the ramp. It's still dark out.
Getting that bait.
You gotta go get your bait. Come back for a charter. But I do have some really good friends that do it, and some of them are they're chartering over 200 charters a year.
Ouch.
So they pretty much live on the water, but I know
Well,
they thoroughly enjoy when it's a day off.
what is the typical fee that a charter boat captain charges based on how many people fits on his boat? I don't know how to word that, but if they take out 4 people, what does it cost for a full day, and what do they get for that? Do you know?
A guy that charters like on a boat like I have, it's going to be like $900 to $1,000 for the day. That's for the whole group.
That's actually really good.
And that will
is that the cost?
Your bait and probably some waters in the cooler. So you probably have to bring, if you want food or other drinks, you probably have to supply your own. And then he'll clean your fish at the end of the day, and and you'll have a good time. And it's a lot of people. Like I recommend a couple of my friends all the time. When people come down, they say, who can take me? Because I always get asked all the time for me to take people. Well, I work for a living. So, and a lot of times to do a charter, like probably for you guys maybe also, that, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the seas are freaking flat. By the weekend, the wind comes in and it's 6, 8, 10 foot.
Absolutely.
So, and that happens a lot here.
Yeah.
It does. It happens a lot. I mean, Steve's been down here with me probably a couple of years ago when he was down, and we went out. Remember when we got your first sailfish?
Yeah.
It was flat calm out there. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And we actually he had 2 sailfish back to back and got his first tuna and everything that day.
Nice.
Yep. It's a great day. And he's right. I was surprised because any other time I've fished with Floyd, I'm glad I got my seasick medication with me. But that day, it was like being on a local lake here. The whole ocean was flat and beautiful.
Yeah. And we don't get that a lot, because come June, it'll start hurricane season will come around, and, then the winds will be blowing again.
Yep.
But
Floyd, another question that Jeff Bottom is asking: what's the investment for a captain's license to become a charter captain?
It's only about $1,200 to $1,500. You can take a course. I want to say I think it's like a 6 to 12 week course. I can't remember exactly what it is, but you can get your 6-pack license, which is what he's referring to be a charter boat, and then you can take people out for pay. That's what it's for. You can take people fishing all the time. Like I could take anybody fishing, but legally I can't accept money.
Right.
So legally.
And that's through the Coast Guard, right?
What's that?
Get that license is through the Coast Guard, right?
Yeah, but there's a lot of schools down here. Obviously, in Florida, there's a lot of schools that you can go, and even my wife, she wants to get hers too. you know, so maybe someday we, you know, if we do retire, you know, we could take people out in a charter like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you figure if you make $1,000 a day, and you know, obviously there'll be fuel, there'll be bait, so overall you might make 700. You know, that's not bad for a day's work.
No.
You know, especially going out there, showing some people let them have a good time.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a quick story. I took the people from Yamaha out. This had been 6-7 years ago, and I knew I was in trouble when I pulled up to the dock, and they were, I don't know if the guys had been to bed yet. They were still up. They had still been partying all night. And so I got them on the boat. And of course, you know, their whole staple was just more alcoholic beverages. But they were there to have a good time. So we get out there to fish, and I'm trolling. And when I'm trolling, I have 6 lines in the water out behind the boat. And we're trolling along, and one of the guys is sitting on the side of the gunnel, and he's got a beer in his hand, and he leans back to take a drink. And because of the state he was in, he just went right over into the water. Well, now, you know, you're trying to stop the boat. You got all these lines out with all these hooks.
Oh my God.
And you're trying to get this guy back. And Lord knows where the damn sharks are, you know, and you're trying to get him back in the boat. And it's like, oh, you know, but he had a good time. That's
And he got cooled down.
So
Wow.
it's all part of the deal, you know. I have another guy that's one of my sponsors, and he likes to fish some of the local events, and he will show up in the morning with, I'm not big, like, you know, big bottle of Tito's vodka it's got the finger hole in it to carry it, and under this arm will be a case of Red Bull. And this man is like 6'6", maybe 6'7". He's a huge dude. When we go up to weigh fish in, and we all stand next to him, it looks like a dad with his 10-year-olds. This guy's huge, but he will drink that, and he will be ripped, but he has a good time. And that's all I try to do is make him have a good time. And I put him up on the podium, and he wins money, and he gets excited.
That's good. That's the one thing that's ever kept me from even contemplating being a guide is I don't know if I could put up with some of the people, because once you do it, you don't know who's coming on that boat. You know what I mean? Saturday morning, you're at the dock and they show up and you're like, ah, crap. And so I don't do customer service well. So
but you know, for the most part, the people that charter you, will charter a boat, they truly want to fish.
Yeah.
And they want to catch something. And they don't care if it's a shark or a snapper or kingfish or whatever. They want the experience. I was helping my one friend charter earlier in the year, and his mate couldn't make it. So I went out there with him. He's just a good friend of mine. I wasn't even looking to get paid. I just went to go help him. So we put 2 kites up. He put one off the stern. I put one off the bow, and we're flying kites. Well, next thing you know, we have a double sailfish hookup. And these people are from New York. A man and his wife. We get the wife's fish to the boat and get up there. We get a couple of pictures, like with the pictures I got with Steve. Got a picture of it, released the fish. Her husband was so wore out, she had to go get the rod from him and fight his fish too. It's serious, and then, so we had fished for maybe an hour, and next thing you know, they were like, we need to go back. They were starting to get nauseous. It was a little bumpy out there that day, but they were ecstatic. Yeah, they didn't get to fish the whole time, but they both got a sailfish, and that's all they knew. And they got pictures, and they were happy. And we got there, and I mean, they handed me $100. You know, on top of whatever their charter was, they handed me $100. I just gave it to my buddy. I'm like, "Here's yours." You know, I was just here to help. You know, so most people are very gracious when you take them out. If they know you're working hard, you guys all fish. Sometimes you don't catch nothing.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah.
But if you're trying, you know, that's just the way it is. It's just like going deer hunting. You can't make that big buck walk in front of your stand. You know? That's the way I always look at it.
Yeah, that's true. So you've been on the water a lot.
Yes, sir.
What's one of your most scariest? Have you had a scary moment out there? Whether it was many years ago when you were young, or more recently, where maybe crap hit the fan somehow and had you spooked. Have you had any events like that yet?
I have fished in some very, very rough conditions, which we should have never fished. But, you know, say you travel from here to, say, Key West, and they have in the tournament in Key West in January, it's going to be rough. And if y'all don't know this, that like when it's to a certain sea state with the wind and they put out the small craft advisory, if you go out and whether you sink your boat or maybe you come into inlet, you go up against the rocks, your insurance will not pay because there's a small craft advisory. So, and they make us fish in these things a lot. The last time I was in Key West for the tournament, no line, no BS, it was 12-foot seas.
Damn.
And we're out there running.
Where do you draw the line? I mean, if you're out in 12-foot seas, it's like, where do you even draw the line? You're going up these hills on that.
Yeah, and I have my wife out there with me. You know, she fishes with me. So, and when you're sitting there trying to troll, and all of a sudden the wave comes up over and totally you lose sight of your engines because you got this wall of water going over the top of your boat into your boat. You know, you sit back and think, you know, what the hell are we doing out here?
Yeah.
Floyd, when you say a 12-foot sea, I'm going to say a sea is flat calm. Is 12 foot from a flat sea to peak, or is that including the trough and the peak?
That's the face of the wave.
Okay.
The way Noah measured it, it's this. When they say seas are, just say they say they're 6 to 8, that's 1/3 of the face of the waves. So that 6 to 8 might be the average, but there's still going to be 10s, 12s, there might be 3s.
Yeah.
So we fish a lot of bad stuff, and I'm ready to not do that no more.
A funny side note on that, and I don't recall the reason why they do this, but in Hawaii, they measure the wave by the back side of the wave. It's a different size, it's a different number, but when you hear 6-foot waves in Hawaii, they're not fun. 6-foot wave in Hawaii is a different 6-foot wave.
Yeah, I'm losing it.
That's why.
Your audio's off.
Is that me again?
Grant, say something.
I'm muted. I'm on mute.
I just want to hear it. Is it Steve?
Is it
Stanley,
me?
I'm having a hard time hearing Stanley.
Yeah, talk a little bit more, Steve. I'm hearing. Can you guys hear it when I'm talking? Yeah, it's
Me?
yeah.
I'll go out and come back.
All right, we'll see you in a minute. So we have a weekly routine. Now I'm still hearing it now. You guys hearing it?
Is it me?
I don't know where it's.
I'm hearing it when you talk. It's somebody's still echoing. Oh, Grant popped out.
Is it me?
No, I still hear it. There you go.
It might be me.
It might be you. And Grant back in. Still echoing. Sorry, folks, we're having difficulty. Floyd, do you want to pop out and pop back in with us?
Yeah, I can try. I'm having a hard time here, Joe.
Yeah, let's pop out and pop back in, see what happens.
All right. What do you gotta do? Just want me to just, leave the studio?
Yeah, I just hit leave studio and then you'll build the studio.
All right.
All right. We good now?
I still hear it.
I still hear it too. Why don't you two talk for a little bit?
That's pretty neat. So I was wanting to ask. Yeah, it's still going.
Yeah. Stanley, talk. Talk.
Can you hear me?
If I leave, the whole thing shuts down. Right? Stanley, can I pop out and come back in without leaving the whole thing?
All right, I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Grant, if I leave, will it mess everything up or no?
I have no idea.
Stanley. Stanley. Stanley.
Any better?
No, I think it's me. I'm trying to get Stanley to confirm. Since I'm hosting, if I leave, it'll be a problem.
You very well.
Stanley. Everybody's in chat like, what the heck is going on?
If I remember right, the time that I hosted it and tried to get out, you're still going to be in, John. You just go
All right,
on.
we're going to find out, gentlemen. Hold on to your spaceships.
There. Can we hear each other now?
I can hear you.
Sounds good now.
Hey, Grant, where are you hunt at? Where are you at?
I'm in Southern Illinois, right on the Kentucky border.
Okay. What's your biggest buck you got?
I've got a nice 8-pointer this year. It's probably the biggest inches.
How big? How many inches?
I haven't had it scored, but it's an 8-pointer. He's probably 140 inches.
I've got two that I've shot in Wisconsin. One is 192 and 4/8, and I got another one that's 196 and 6/8.
Wow.
So
200-inch deer, that's huge.
yeah, I was trying.
Nice. We all back
got the
now?
problem, the glitch all figured out. We're all good to go again.
I think it was me that time, Steve.
All right. Wasn't me. You can't blame it on me this time.
I can still blame you.
Yeah, you can blame me, but I ain't going to take it this time.
Is it everybody was going mute? Is that what happened? That's a new one. I've never seen
No,
that before.
it was the echo. Whatever problem you had was completely different. You just went silent.
It just all happened at the same time?
Yeah, we could all hear each other. We just couldn't hear you.
Yeah, okay. That's the new headphone things. If you touch them, they do things.
Hey, Floyd, so you've been tournament fishing for about how long now?
About 19 years.
All right. Can you pinpoint one, maybe two of one of my best moments of tournament fishing?
2015, we won the national championship.
Okay, that's pretty good.
We went to Morehead City, North Carolina. I had never fished there before. And first day, we had a 52 pounder and some change the very first morning. And we literally were done fishing because the national championship is usually a 2-day tournament. And we were done both days before 10:30 in the morning.
Holy smokes.
So we had a 52 and some change on the first day. And then the second day we had a 40-something and some change. So the boys from North Carolina didn't like us.
So are those, if it's a national championship, is that like by invitation, like you qualified to get there, or is it an open
Yes.
tournament?
Yeah. Back in the day, it used to be what we fish. Have you ever heard of the Southern Kingfish Association?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So back in the day, like the division I fish right now, there would be over 100 teams, what I'm considered an open class, because our boat's over 24 foot long. So we're in the open class. There's over 100 teams, and usually they take the top 25 from each division to go fish the national championship. And there'll be a small boat class, like a single engine class, and then they have the open class, which is all the bigger boats. And so that year we actually won the division I fish in, and we won the national championship.
Damn.
I've won the division. South Florida is the most competitive division there is.
Believe that.
And we normally start fishing our tournaments like in January, and we go all the way through till November.
Damn. Oh,
So
year.
it makes it very long. It makes for a very long year.
Yeah.
And lately I've been fishing two divisions. Like last year we fished. They have another division called the Angler Armory Division, which covers the whole state of Florida up into all the way up into North Carolina, out to Texas. And last year we took third place in the SK overall for the whole year, and we took fourth place overall for Angler Armory. And you're talking divisions with well over 100 boats.
Wow.
In each division. And unfortunately, the Angler Armory, I was in first place up till the last two tournaments.
Ouch.
And then I got munched by a shark, lost my big fish in that one tournament. So I dropped down in points. And then the last tournament, just couldn't find a big enough fish to put me back up there.
Dang.
Yeah, all these guys are professionals, man. They all know what they're doing. So you can't take nothing away from the other anglers.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
still fishing, huh?
They're still fishing, you know. Yeah. So when you're fishing with a lot of people, you know, that they grew up here, so they know what they're doing. You know, I'm the transplant. I didn't grow up here.
Yeah.
So I need to come out there and do some walleye fishing with Steve, though.
There you go. He'll put you on some freshwater drum for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny. Floyd and I were just talking about that. I think it was today or yesterday about him coming up here and doing some walleye fishing, and walleye fishing got nothing compared to what Floyd fishes for. It would be like grabbing a limp rag, you know, pulling through the water compared to the fish he's got. So, but Floyd, I'd love to have you and Deanna come up if you could.
Well, I know. My problem is like this year, though. You know, we're building a new house up in the mountains, and it's like I don't have much vacation time, so all my whatever vacation time I got this year is going to be running up to look at the new house.
Yep. Jerry Toner's asking you, Floyd, do you use bait primarily?
Yes.
Live bait.
Live bait's pretty much the only thing I don't use live is my ribbon fish, and they're frozen. I mean, they're you know, they're dead. So that's live bait will win 100 times more than anything dead. You know, that's what the fish bite.
And then I know one time when I went with Floyd, we went out to catch our own fish using a sabiki rig.
Yeah.
And learned very quickly that this can be a waste of time doing that because you get bit off by sharks and
barracudas.
Yep, just a whole lot. And looking down there, and all you see was all these sharks circling underneath the boat, and you're trying to pull these fish, little bait fish, through there. It was fun, but I can see why Floyd would rather go buy his bait.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go, it's so much. You figure sometimes trying to catch bait, like when Steve comes, you know, it's like because the inlet I go out of from my house is not where my bait pen is. My bait pen, like I live in Stuart, my bait pen's all the way down in Palm Beach County because the water's so much better down there. So you know, by the time you make 45-minute run, it's just better for me just to pull in, grab a couple dozen baits from a bait guy, and get out and go fishing. You know, you're gonna burn about the same thing in gas by the time you do all the running, and then you don't have to worry about going all the way to the bait gun.
Got another question for you, Floyd. It says a lot of people call snook a trash fish. How does Floyd feel about snook?
They're delicious.
They're not trash then.
Snook are delicious.
I can't believe people consider those a trash fish. I've never
heard that.
I don't know. They're rare around here, so you catch one of those guys, you feel you having a lucky day.
Yeah, and they've changed the laws here. I don't do a lot of the backwater fishing. They changed the laws here for the snook because, believe it or not, we've had some cold snaps in the winter months, and they don't fare well because if that water temperature changes just a couple of degrees overnight, a lot of them fish go into shock and die.
Yeah.
And so now they've changed the regulations with the snook to for a certain size limit. And sometimes it's actually very hard to catch one in the slot size.
Yeah.
And then from a lot of guys I know that fish like in the inlets for the snook, they're having a hard time too because the bull sharks now are in there, and the bull sharks are, they're destroying. If they get a nice snook, the sharks are taking them.
Okay.
So, but they're very good to eat. I wouldn't call them trash.
It's funny, they have the nickname of the soap fish. And people said it was because they had a soapy flavor, but I've never heard anybody in recent times saying anything like that.
Wow, their meat's nice and white. It's actually very good. I enjoy it.
So, how'd 2020 go for you with the pandemic and all? I'm sure it had an impact on your tournaments and all.
A lot of them were canceled. They actually had shut down boat ramps, but I believe Steve and all them had it too. I'm not sure out in Texas how that fared, but normally for me, because I get 2 new motors every year from Yamaha, and normally I put 300 to 350 hours a year on my engines, and then I sell them and they give me another set. I only put like 120 hours on my boat last year.
Dang.
Because everything was shut down.
Yep.
And they didn't want you, they shut the boat ramps down, and obviously if you lived on the water and your boat was on a lift or something, you could go anytime you wanted.
Yeah.
But for people like myself that have to trailer, unless you found somebody that actually had their own boat ramp, a lot of people do in their yards, but I don't have that option. So it was very slow for the year.
From where you live, you said the other day a couple streets over is a boat ramp. Was that one closed too? You couldn't get it?
No, but I can't put my boat in there.
Oh, okay.
By the time I got the boat backed in to the ramp, I'd be in the trees on the other side. we can put Deanna's little boat in there. We got a little 16-foot Sea-Doo jet boat too. Just to go run around the rivers and stuff like that. So that little thing you want to talk about hauling butt, that little thing will go 0 to 53 in like 3 minutes.
Wow.
I was on a friend's bass boat a few years back, and we were doing 63. And after that, I said, I never want to be on a boat going that fast again. I don't see the need for it. And it felt like the only thing in the water was the prop. The rest of the boat was just hot. And one little thing,
Oh, yeah.
So,
you hit a log or something, just a stick in the water.
Yeah. I'm good with putting around.
Exactly what you're saying. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
And you see, the people like I compete against, as I said, back in the day, a 28-foot boat was the boat everybody wanted to have. Now they're up to like 44s with 5 engines, and if you have 200 teams lined up in the ocean waiting for them for the shotgun start to let you go, if you're not out front, then you're in everybody's wakes.
Yeah.
And it gets really sketchy. It's hard to control your boat.
Mm-hmm.
So, my boat, tournament loaded with 5 people on board, I can run right at 63.
Wow.
That's it. That's as fast as it'll go, no matter what you do. And I always wish I could have got at least 65. Because I've showed Steve, I got videos. I can run with some of them 4-engine boats because the bigger boats are heavier.
Yeah.
So my boat's only got twin 300s, and sometimes I can run with the big boats. But then again, you gotta have the ocean state, which allows it. You know, if it's too rough, you ain't gonna run that.
Yeah, definitely.
You just beat everybody to death.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got a question a moment ago. Sorry, Jerry, we missed that for a second. She's asking about your use of soft plastics. If you use plastics for anything that you do.
You asking me?
Yes, sir. You use for anything that you do. You trolling with any
No.
skirts or anything?
I use a lot of skirts, but as far as like soft, when you say soft plastics, I'm considering like worms and stuff like that. But we have some of our soft plastics will have like a metal head. Some have an acrylic head on them. Just depends on which brand you're using, and you use them for pulling for mahi or wahoo. Like if you're like, I'm gonna say a wahoo would be like your big musky lures. You know, if you're pulling a skirt, like some of my wahoo lures are 48 ounces. And you remember you're trolling them at like 17 to 20 knots. So, you know, you got to have pretty good equipment to tow. Like I'm using like 65-pound test diamond line on my 50 wide reels to do that, you know. But then again, you might have a lighter jig head or a lighter skirt, but then you might have a trolling lead, you know, to get to different water columns. You might have a 20 ounce or a 36 ounce or a 48 ounce, so they all hit different water columns. So you're trying to hit whatever you can, you know.
Floyd, when you're out looking for fish and you're using your electronics, are you able to locate fish going at a fast rate of speed, or do you need to slow it right down to get a clear picture of what's down there, or do you just?
If I'm within say 60 to 80 feet of water, my machine will run. I can see the bottom clearly up to about 60 miles an hour.
That's nice.
But over, you start getting much deeper than that, it just takes too long for the signal to get down and back up. You won't keep it.
And what are you running for electronics?
I'm sponsored by Garmin.
Garmin.
Yep, I run all Garmin. I got all my VHFs. I run twin Garmin screens. So, but now my stuff's getting old now because my stuff's 4 years old.
Yeah.
You know, now they've changed so much.
Every year.
You know, now they got that panel picks, which you can actually see the fish coming up to bite your lure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's some pretty crazy stuff nowadays.
It is. It's like, when's it going to stop? You go out, you buy the best thing you can get this year, and it's awesome. And in 2 years, it's out of date, and they got something so much better. It's like, golly, when's it going to end?
Oh,
my current graph is like 4 or 5 years old, so I feel like it's a dinosaur, but still, you know, it does what I need it to do.
Right. You know, like when I built the new boat, you know, Garmin, at that time, I was one of 8 teams that Garmin, for saltwater teams that Garmin sponsored. So, you know, thank good for sponsors, you know, for how much some of that stuff costs.
Yeah.
Floyd, now that you're kind of semi-retiring from tournament fishing, will some of your sponsors stay on with you?
Yeah, they all agreed to stay on. They've all agreed to stay on because I'm still gonna fish. I'm still gonna represent. So, you know, I'm just not, you know, but a lot of the sponsorship stuff is slowing down. You know, I don't know how you want to say it, it's like they don't really need us to promote their stuff. You know, everything is so crazy nowadays. Everybody's selling everything.
Yeah.
And they don't need to give you product or give you cash because they're already selling enough as it is.
Yeah.
You know,
that's one thing about 2020, boy. Everybody start buying everything.
Yes, exactly. Since everybody's not going anywhere, they've got more money. So, you know, but even like you know, hell, the Airbnbs, you know, that cabin that we had, it was rented nonstop. You know, didn't have a week that it wasn't rented.
Yeah.
You know, but people were going somewhere else instead of trying to go to Disney World or go whatever, you know, they're just doing the family thing.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that was good for everybody.
Yeah, we just did the same thing. Well, folks, we are at our 1 hour mark. So let's take a couple minutes to close things out here. Grant, you got anything going on anytime soon for us here?
I get a chance and the weather works out, I'm going to try to get out and fish, but nothing for sure. Our weather's been crazy. We got storms coming in tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah, you guys saw the videos that we watched on Facebook, man. We were all kinds of flooding down here, the rain we got. I know Steve, if I ask him, he's like, we got nothing planned. And then tomorrow morning at 4, he's going to be like, guys, I'm going fishing. So
The
that's
joys of being independently employed.
exactly.
Actually, that's exactly what happened. It's like I told Judy, one of my friends wanted to go walleye fishing on the Detroit River. And I says, honey, it looks like Thursday might be the best day. She says, well, I guess you better go then.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I want to know why you're not wearing your new shirt.
I'm old and I got to stick with the old vintage stuff, Floyd. And John's going to hate me for this. I can finally fit into it. I've lost enough weight that I fit into this.
Yeah, the new shirt, the newer shirts are so much nicer.
Yeah. But it's also like a tent on me too.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I've
he's
lost
been
a lot of weight since I've seen you last time.
yeah, he's been losing all the weight trying to be the skinny guy on the
I was at 260 pounds the last time you and I fished together, and I'm at 235, 236 right now.
Okay.
Oh, your boat don't need to be so big anymore.
Right.
Stanley, what about you? What's coming up with you, brother?
We got some fun and exciting things happening this week. I'm kicking off. We're getting back into the running things for May. And our first video of the new season of stuff is going to be coming out next Monday. So I'm going to be pushing out some trailers and stuff this week for fun, kind of kicking it off.
Cool. I'm heading to Florida in about 3 weeks. I got some things I got to get done before then. One of them is his bathroom. So I don't know if I'm going to get on that boat motor because that's a whole video itself. So hopefully I get on the boat motor, get that done, get that video pushed out. And then, of course, while I'm in Florida, we'll get at least 2 good videos, I'm sure, if we got 2 good days of fishing.
Where are you going to go? You said you're going to be in Stuart?
Yes, sir.
Well, you call me when you get here. If I have a boat, maybe we can get out.
I'll give you a holler for sure.
If I have, I'm hoping to have a new boat. Maybe my boat's supposed to leave next Monday, I believe.
Okay.
Maybe both of you guys could go with Wayne on his boat.
Yeah, if you don't have a boat, maybe you come with us.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. That sounds good.
Right. Steve's got my number. You can give me a call.
Will do, for sure. Absolutely.
And we'll go out and do what I do best.
Catch fish?
Catch fish.
That's what I'm talking about. Hey, real quick, I want to say thank you, Ben. Ben said, thanks for the live stream. Hope all your fishing is catching, and I'm hoping it is too. Appreciate it, Ben. And any alibis before we shut her down, boys?
I'm good.
I know I'm good. Grant, you
Well,
good?
thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks again for coming on. We really appreciate it. It was a really good talk.
Yeah.
That hour blew by.
It is.
Yeah, I agree. And I appreciate all the insight that you're willing to impart on what you do. I learned a lot on this one. I thank you for the time.
I'm going to say one thing, and then I'm going to shut up. When Floyd gets his new boat, maybe all 4 of us need to go down and visit Floyd.
That would be freaking awesome.
One of the things that I didn't get to cover because of time constraints on this, one of the things I was going to ask is what is necessary for a person in your position, what is necessary for us to do to become friends with you? Kind of,
Just call me. Just call me. I'm good with I take out a lot of people, so and Steve will tell you I try hard. When I got people on board, I don't relax until I feel like they're catching fish.
That's awesome.
That's all I do. You get yourself all worked up because you want to make sure everybody has a good time.
That's what it's all about when you're
I haven't got Steve a 50-pounder though.
You will, I'm sure.
I'm hoping to.
I think it's a 42 was the biggest I got, wasn't it, Floyd?
Something like that.
Yeah. Big fish.
My biggest is 63.
It's a big one.
So, but there's come winter time here, like around Christmas time, that's when the big fish start showing up. So, but maybe we can work something out. Y'all can come down.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
We'll be in contact.
There you go.
All right.
Well, I'm here, so y'all know where I'm at.
All righty. All right, folks.
When you get down to Stuart, call me. If I got a boat, we'll try to put something together.
Will do, Floyd. I appreciate it, man.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good evening.
All right, you too.
All right. Take care.
Peace out.
Bye.